And welcome back from that short break. My name is Nikolena Samac, and I am joined here with junior wide receiver Shane Lindstrom. Shane, how are you doing today? We're super excited to have you in the studio.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you started the season making a huge impact on the field in the season opener against Waynesburg. You had 3 receptions for 24 yards and a great win for the Blue Streaks. How did you see your role developing in practice ahead of that great win and great start to the season?
I kind of just saw my role as kind of whatever the team needed. As a receiver, yeah, you're going to catch the ball, but also you got to be able to block down the field for the running backs and other receivers. So just focusing on what the team needed, and the coaches do a great job of preaching that.
So you transferred from Ohio Dominican University to John Carroll at the end of 2024. Can you walk us through what that decision process was like and what factors led you to choose John Carroll?
Yeah, so just throughout last year, I kind of just got an itch for just wanting to change of scenery, and it wasn't one thing specific like football or the school in general. I just wanted something a little different, and my sister went to John Carroll, and forever she's been pushing me to go to John Carroll. So when I was transferring, I looked into John Carroll, and some of the coaches reached out to me and got me on campus and just learned what they had to say. It was, exactly what I was looking for. So definitely glad I made the decision.
I can totally relate to your sister. I did the same thing with my little brother when he graduated. I was like, you need to come to John Carroll. And he ended up going to Ohio State, which I was sad. But
Right.
I feel what
Right.
she was doing, and I'm sure she sees the same thing on this campus that I did.
Mhm.
What were some of the challenges and surprises that you encountered in that transition period?
Definitely some of the challenges was transferring mid-year, not really knowing anybody, going to classes, not really know where I was going. So that was definitely a hard part, just not knowing anybody. Um, what surprised me was just how welcoming and open the people were here at John Carroll. Classmates, professors, and obviously the football team. I was able just to meet guys and form relationships, and then one relationship led to another, and so that really made the transition easier, and it surprised me.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about how special this team is. And, on the broadcast, we talk a lot about how special the offense is. So, we have a very dynamic offense at John Carroll football. How do you prepare for games where you have to be versatile, while running short passes, play actions, mixed runs, and everything that Behrman has in his back pocket?
Right. Definitely dynamic would be a word to describe our offense, but I really just try to focus on play by play, focusing on my job for that play. If the play's, short pass, just making sure I run my route, the depth it needs to be, and when I get the ball in my hands, doing the most with it, and then for those runs, and just, focusing on my job and just doing nothing more, because then I know the other guys are going to do their job.
Yeah, we've had 2 guys now talk about their 1/11th, which is a new term for me, but I've been really appreciating that, and I really understand how important each individual is into the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
So against Waynesburg, JCU posted its highest opener point total since 2002. How does that kind of start build team confidence, momentum, and expectations moving into the season?
It was a great start, and coming out with a bang like that, definitely was good for confidence. But just looking back on that game and all our games, coaches have talked about we haven't played a complete game, for 4 quarters. So that's something we're striving to do. But definitely that first game coming out with those points definitely raised our confidence and added some momentum to our season.
So in the game against Johns Hopkins, you had a season-high 17-yard reception, which was a huge play in that ranked matchup against one of the best teams in the country. How have you seen your role on the field making an impact on the momentum of the offense?
I feel like my roles kind of change from game to game. For instance, that play, it was right before half. We're trying to get a chunk play to get into field goal range, and so my role ended up being making that catch, putting us in field goal range, and Colin made a great kick to get us some points. But it changes. Kenyon College, I feel like I did a good job blocking down the field and creating extra space for the runners, and so it just changes game to game. And I'm happy to make any impact. Doesn't matter if I'm catching 10 balls a game or zero, just as long as I'm making an impact, because ultimately I just want to win.
Yeah, and outside of your role as a wide receiver, which is what you're listed on the roster, you're also the main punt returner for the team. Is this a new role for you, and how has that experience been?
So it's not a new role. I've kind of did that all through high school, and then at my previous school, I returned some punts, and it's just something I've always liked, and like how the experience has been. I kind of like it. It's like kind of chaotic. A lot of people don't like it for that reason, because there's guys coming in from
Mm-hmm.
all over, and it can be pretty nerve wracking. But I don't know. It's just kind of like controlled chaos that I like, and I've been doing it for a while, so I'm kind of familiar with it. Like when to fair catch, when to catch it and run, when to let it go. So I guess that experience has kind of added some comfort to it, and I like it because not a lot of other people like it, and so I feel like that kind of sets me out, sets me apart, and also allows me to add some value to the team.
Yeah, and I think it's a unique role in the sense, like, you really have to have that football IQ of knowing, is it going to be a fair catch? Do I have to run? Like, what's the play? What direction to go in? You're not getting direction.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a set play. It's so dynamic, and I think it's such a unique role. So speaking of returning punts, in the home opener and the NCAC opener against Oberlin, you had a huge 27-yard punt return to put the John Carroll offense in a great position. I mean, we had a great time calling that punt return. It was awesome. How do big plays like that fuel your energy in the games?
It's definitely good. We talk about playing like complementary football. The defense helping the offense out, offense helping the defense, and special teams as well. So when you can have a big play like that, whether it's defense or in this terms like special teams, just knowing that you're helping out, the opposing side of the ball, like offense or defense, it's nice. Just again being able to help the team whenever, and it's nice when knowing like on Monday your coaches will be like, good job, good return. So that's something to look forward to. But no, I mean, anytime you have success on the field, it creates that momentum and gets the energy going and gives you confidence for that next play.
Yeah, and we actually talked about this a little bit before the interview, but majority of the offense is seniors and grad students, but many of them haven't been Blue Streaks for much longer than you have. How does the offense work to build chemistry and connections that are so visible to us on the field during games?
I feel like a lot of that is attributed to like our off season in the spring and in the summer. Weekly and even like daily, people are meeting up to run routes. Nick's throwing routes to us, or even just working out in the weight room, and also too just like off the field, like just hanging out. This past week, a bunch of us went to Nick Septenfelter's house and we watched a movie. So we're trying to get that a weekly thing, but just hanging out and bonding together. We're all kind of like-minded individuals, same types of values and stuff like that. So having that mesh together really translates onto the field.
Yeah, and we really do see it genuinely. I mean, in the broadcast, we talk so much about the connection that we see in the offense, and it really, like you said, it translates to performance on the field, and it's been so cool to watch. So, we want to go back to your time at Ohio Dominican for just one more question. You were listed as a running back, but you've changed to wide receiver now that you've come to John Carroll. What specific skills are you focusing on improving this season to aid that transition back to being a wide receiver?
Yeah, so I'd say like two specific skills is like route running, obviously. That's like a huge difference between running back and receiver. And also two, just like secondary releases and like beat and press. Like, unfortunately, like when you're going against a defense, you're not always going to have a clean path to your route. So you got to be able to make a move, make people miss, fight off defenders, and you don't really have that at running back. Fortunately, though, like my whole life I've been a receiver. It was just last year I played running back, so I have more of those receiver skills than running back skills. But yeah, those the route running and second level moves definitely something I've been focused on this season.
So one final question about your kind of more football on-field performance. A lot of guys on this team, they're transfers from other schools, moving around. When people ask about your journey with the transfer, ups and downs, the successes, failures, what is the message or takeaway that you hope to convey to other people?
I would say, like, accept that it's going to suck at first, for lack of a better word. It's going to be uncomfortable. you're not going to know people. It's going to be new. You're going to be out of your comfort zone. But just know that it will get better day by day. You'll meet new people. You'll get more in that comfort zone, and ultimately, like, you'll end up where you're supposed to end up. And I think I'm from Youngstown, and I was fortunate to have a talk with Jim Trussell, and that's kind of what he said. It was like, you're going to end up where you're supposed to end up. And so just, taking it one day at a time and just knowing that it'll all happen for a reason, and don't get discouraged if, you're uncomfortable at first.
Yeah, so that's a really powerful message, and I feel like that translates even beyond football. People talk about that. Just even going to college, that transition from high school to college, you feel like you're a fish dropped in the middle of the ocean. Right. And it is scary, but, once you hit your third, fourth year, a lot of people, you find your friends, you find you're comfortable, and you have so much fun at the end.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's been great. Like, those first couple weeks were tough, definitely. But, looking back now, like, I'm so glad I came here, and, like, the experiences I've had, the people I've met, it was definitely worth that, like, 2 or 3 week period of being uncomfortable.
Yeah, so now we're going to move on to a couple fun questions. We love to give the listeners a chance to peek into your personality off the field. So the first one, outside of football, what sport do you think or wish that you could go pro in?
That's a good question. I'd say basketball, because I feel like the amount of money that they're paid is insane. Yes. Like, you get your average NBA player is probably getting paid more than the average NFL player, and you're indoors, so you don't have to deal with that cold weather.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm the exact opposite of a basketball player, but, stature-wise. But, yeah, I'd say that would be a sport I could go pro in if I could wish.
Yeah, I used to play way back in my middle school days when everyone was the same size. And then once I got to high school, I was like, not so sure about this one. Yeah. So at any level of football, which team would you say has your favorite jerseys?
I mean, I have to go with the Patriots. I mean, that's just my favorite team in general, so I have to stick with their jerseys. But they came out with new, like, rival jerseys this year that, I liked, so I'd say those are my favorite.
And finally, the last fun question of this interview, who on the team has your favorite celebration, and can you describe it for the listeners?
I'd probably say Ty Montgomery. I mean, I think he's got a celebration with just about everyone, and he's trying to get a celebration with me, but describe it, I don't know if I can describe. I mean, clean. I'd just say that. They're all clean. I mean, he's pretty good at that, and he gets to use that celebration a lot too.
Yeah,
so.
I love seeing them on the JCU Sports Instagram with like the videographers when they post after he scores. I'm always like, wow, I wish I could do that.
Right. Yeah, I always like run up to him after he scores, and we don't have a celebration, so we're just kind of like, I don't know, just like do nothing, I guess. But yeah, he's been getting on me about that.
I'm sure you guys will develop something. We got a lot more football to play. And speaking of a lot more football to play, we are about to head in to the kickoff. John Carroll facing up Wittenberg. Caitlin Minnie and Nick Colbert will be on the call for that, so stay tuned, because after a short break and one more segment, John Carroll will be facing Wittenberg in the Week 5 NCAC matchup. So stay tuned right here on WJCU 88.7.